Previously, I spoke about the importance of families for child development. And now I'm going to talk about how, particularly in middle childhood or beginning in middle childhood, you do see a very typical distancing from families, or in particular from parents. Children start to very much value other children, their peers, and they participate in something we call the culture of children. Think culture. A particular country can have a culture, people of a particular ancestry, neighborhood, geographic region. You know, they have all of these separate language, phrases, appearance, clothing, and things that say, hey, I'm a part of this culture. Children have this too. We have the culture of children. So each group of children, and then you can make the groups historically, you know, based on the cohort they belong to, geographic region, but groups of children interacting with one another, they each have their own games, sayings, clothing styles, and superstitions and ways of speaking that are not common among adults. It's something that sets them apart, as these are kid things. You wouldn't get it. You wouldn't understand. And just like every culture has distinct values, behaviors, and beliefs, you have things like customs, certain things that you are supposed to do, certain rituals, rules, like, hey, we don't do that. And it could include things like we don't dress that way, or it could include behavior or superstitious beliefs, like, you know, when I was very young, sometimes we would do the thing where we do, if you step on a crack, you break your mama's back. And I don't know if everybody necessarily believed that, but we would go out of our way not to step on the cracks. Or if you pass ideas around, like if you say Bloody Mary 3 times when you look in the mirror, or Candyman, if you've seen the Candyman movies, you know, those little types of ideas that get passed around where it's like, hey, we take this seriously in the culture of children. Also, ways to speak, ways of saying things and gestures that may make sense to kids where the adults are like, what are they doing? I have no idea what they're doing. All right, and clothing styles, you know, kids would be like, all right, so mom, dad, whoever's taking care of me, parental guardian, I must go out and get this object because it's what the other kids are wearing. And sometimes the person in charge is just looking at them like, why? Why do you want that? And they're like, because I have to have it. It's in our culture. It's what the kids are wearing now. I want to fit in with my culture. All right, when I was younger, I was a child in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, or adolescent in the early 90s. I bought some hideous things. I look back on it and I'm like, why did I want that? Why did I want acid wash jeans? Why did I wear those hideous colors? It was a simple answer. The other kids were wearing them. It was part of the culture. If you did not wear that, you were not marking yourself as a member of the culture, that you were not, you were not fitting in. And a big part of the culture of children is separation or independence from adults. There are certain things that you don't do in the culture of children, like you don't tell on other kids. You do not snitch. You do not tattle. Different terminology from different cohorts. All right, if a kid who tells on another kid, to quote a movie that I believe is from 1979 or 80, a kid tells on another kid, it's a dead kid. It was called Over the Edge. Look it up. Or, you know, the classic expression, snitches get stitches. All right, that one's a bit more violent in nature. But the idea behind it is, look, we don't tell on each other. You protect other kids. If you do something like if the teacher forgets to assign homework, and you're like, teacher, you forgot to assign homework. Everybody's like, whose side are you on? You're trying to help the adults? That's not cool. That's unusual. We are part of the culture of children here. Sometimes parents are upset by this. Like, why don't they adore us anymore? But it is very normal typical, very common thing that you see, and it's part of them starting to assert independence, because eventually they're going to have to function independently as they move into adolescence and adulthood. Now, another thing that happens is that children very much during this time value friendship. It becomes very important to have friends, and not just friends, because there are differences in friendship that happen with age. Got cut off again, so backing up a little bit. In early childhood, a friend was somebody that you played with. You played with somebody that day. You're like, hey, I made a friend. Oh, what do you know about this friend? We played together. We like the same toys. All right, a friend is someone who talks to you, who likes you, who plays with you. You don't really focus on deeper things like trust and being able to talk to somebody, emotional content. You get older, you get into middle childhood, and you start to value those deeper aspects of friendship. A friend is someone you can trust. That becomes a huge component to friendship. And also your number of friends tends to shrink. You have fewer friends, but more valued, closer friendships, typically. I mean, these are just the general patterns. So school-age children in middle childhood, they value personal friendship more than peer acceptance. So it's not necessarily that everybody has to like you, but having one or two good friends is you really want that. All right, and so intense and intimate friendships improve with advances in social cognition, being able to understand other people, having a more advanced theory of mind, and understanding how to engage and interact with people, and also effortful control. Being able to wait for your friend to talk about something that you may not find that interesting, having patience, being able to say, okay, well, today I want to play this one game, and my friends want to play another, and okay, we will play the other game. All right, these things are important for advancing friendships and friendship quality. And so some other typical patterns that we know from research: by the end of middle childhood, towards age 11, all right, close friendships are almost always with people who are very similar to you in demographic characteristics. So things like being same-sex friendships, same age. I mean, you can be a little different, but usually you're pretty close in age, if not in the same grade in school. Same ethnicity and same socioeconomic status. Now, you are going to know exceptions, but typically your typical pattern is you are with people who are very similar to you on demographic or census type of categories. Now, some other differences that we see: boys, when they play together and they have their friends, they focus on having fun together, of getting excited together. Their friend is someone who likes the same things, and they get to do things like play the same video game together, watch the same movies together. And girls will, in general, focus more on emotional aspects. Like they're more likely to see the role of friendship as someone who comforts their friends, who reassures their friends when they need it. So they will focus more on those emotional aspects. And that's not to say that like boys don't have emotions or they're not capable of emotions. We don't want to feed those stereotypes, but these are some general differences that have been observed. Friends are important. Children who have no friends, having no friends is correlated with a variety of negative outcomes. And one interesting thing from research is that when we look at how many friends do you need to have to see the benefits of friendship, it's only one. All right. The difference between 0 friends and 1 friend is tremendous in terms of effects on child development in a variety of domains. But to see the benefits of friendship, you only need 1. So, some parents, they will get concerned, especially if they have an introverted child, a quirky child, and they'll say, well, I'm worried they don't have a lot of friends. They just have the 1 friend. That 1 friend, if they are meeting their needs as a friend, they are good enough. That child that has 10 friends, First of all, I always wonder, how do you have the energy? How do you have the emotional energy to keep track of your 10 friends? But the child who has the 10 friends, it's not like they have an advantage over the child that has the one good close friend. All right, next video is going to be about popularity. A lot of people think popularity for like middle school, high school. Popularity exists earlier than that too. So we will talk about popularity next.